Hello everyone, I'm Jakub. I'll be talking today about gaining speed. And you may not know, but the original title of this presentation was actually making speed, because I believe it will be about the effort that we are putting into making our company organization quicker. However, after submitting this presentation, I learned that if I was to talk about making speed, this presentation will be about something very different. And this is far beyond my area of expertise. So we are actually talking about gaining speed today. And I'll be talking about three quite basic things, and you may actually ask me later why you're talking about it, because these are the things that we already know and we all do them. However, as you heard yesterday from Jakub and from Isabella and from I think a few other people as well during these presentations, these are the things that we all believe, and however, we don't always do them. And from my few years of experience, it showed up quite often that in many companies, they were not doing these things, and they were pretty happy, but they were very slow. So my story starts a few months ago when I joined OLX, and I'm a product guy there. However, my task as well is bringing agility to our product development, not only software development, but as well product development. And when I joined them, what I was told and what we had on paper was this inspired by Spotify, inspired by Agile, this like tribes and squads, independent teams, they are able to deliver and so on. And it kind of looked like that. We had a big group of people. There were mobile developers, there were iOS, Android, backend developers, some front-end, some data science, some QAs on the bottom. So that was the group, and they were kind of working towards one goal. And everyone was super busy, and it was going really, really well, right? We were working very hard, everyone was super busy. It must be very good. And it was actually not so well. It was actually, we were working very hard, but from the start to actually finish, we were like very, very slow. We were delivering something very light. Not everything, but everything that demanded both work from backend, mobile, and so on. So after diving deeper and understanding how it actually works, it turned out that we do have this group, they self-organize into sub-teams, and these teams talk to each other through representatives. And it like, you could see that kind of working. They had the separate stand-ups, and the representatives have their own stand-ups. But in reality, instead of these true self-organizing teams, we had that. And I'm not talking horses. I'm talking about the fence, which is hardly visible here, and it wasn't visible in our company. And what's interesting about this fence, it's not a physical fence, and this fence, even if there is no electricity, these hoses will not go through that, right? Because this mental fence. And it actually was visible after understanding how the people work. If you talk to mobile developers, they wouldn't touch the story, wouldn't touch the feature until the backend developers finished. If you ask the backend developer, how is the story going, he said, I did my job, I have no idea, talk to the mobile guys. And the QAs actually didn't know anything until it was finished, and they tried to randomly test something. As you see, everyone is busy and slightly not ideal. So what we came up with right now and what we're experimenting with is we have this truly feature or full stack teams. As you can see here, these teams are very different from each other because what they are is opportunity teams. So when we see product or business opportunity, and we believe this is worth 2 months of investment of development time, maybe more, we decide, okay, this is something we want to embark on. These are the skills we need to actually be able to work on that. We assemble a team, and then this team starts their journey to drive to the KPIs they want to deliver. Thanks to this approach and just changing the way how people work between each other, we got twice the speed of developing like actually the value. So we kind of work in the same efficiency, maybe sometimes less, maybe sometimes more. However, the time to actually delivering value to our users is at least times shorter. And yes, you may say this is something obvious, but as you heard already for three presentations during this conference, it's not happening everywhere, and it's something that we are as well needed to work on to get to speed. Okay, quick question. Who is doing some groomings, backlog refinements, and something like that? Show of hands. Nice. I've seen terrible things. I've seen one story. There was a product owner who came to planning or even to grooming with super proud with a set of user stories. I just finished them an hour ago, and now I'm going to present them. Or sometimes even I sent them to the developers last evening, and now I'm going to present them. And he was surprised that the developers are not kind of already know what it should be, what they should do. And as Isa told yesterday, there was like info obesity. There were 3 screens of text, and they were trying to kind of understand why something is not, why the communication is not working. And that was actually me. I'm guilty. That was me, the product owner a few years ago. But I've seen many product owners doing the same thing. And it's quite common that we tend to come with, we sit in our cave and we sit on this user store, we consult with different stakeholders, and then we come to the team and here it is, just do this. And so what we're trying to do is we're doing the refinement, grooming. However, we tend to think about it as our next. So we just have next, because our goal is not to refine some artificial backlog. It's to get the shared understanding what we as a team want to deliver next, what we want to do next. And we have only like 3 basic rules or sets how we're doing that. We want to do it at least once every sprint, hopefully more often. Each of them ends with like what actions, what actually learnings we should do before the next one, what should we investigate, what questions we should answer before the next. And what's interesting, what I'm trying to do at least as often as possible, we don't even start with a user story. We start with a story. So I come to this and I start, remember we delivered something 2 weeks ago and now we see these results, or did we get this feedback from users, or we see in numbers, so we said on our UX tests showed this thing. And then starts the discussion, okay, what should we do about it? And it's super good that they are really becoming very involved, and we come with ideas, and we kind of groom them, and we define what would be the best things to go after. Here are 2 examples of our mini impact maps or mini graphs of stories that we came up during our refinements, and afterwards we actually voted which of them they believe would be most impactful. And I took this as well as feedback, as an input into prioritization the product backlog. So why we are doing that? Because as you learned from Pavel yesterday, collective intelligence of the team beats my awesomeness, without any question. So the outcome that we get are much better than if I by myself only came and with the results of my cave story creation. And then when I'm here on a conference or I'm sick and on holiday, the team actually knows the context and they know the reasoning behind the story and they know why we are doing that, and they can take smart decisions without me becoming a bottleneck and the only decision maker. And planning it's super easy. We just meet. Well, I'll touch on planning a bit later, but this is much easier thing than before. The third thing that we are really investing heavily recently is shortening our time to value. And I mention time to value because for us, value is either the product increment, so the value for our users, value for the company, some revenue, moving some KPI, or the learning. And we really value the learning almost on the same level as a product increment. At least we try to. So how it looks more or less technically. So as usually right now and nowadays, on a website, on algorithms on the servers, we can deploy changes and we deploy changes and we launch changes a few times a day. With mobile apps, we are quite more constrained, so we deploy them only every 2 weeks, right? Only. But it's already for that, a lot of our developers needed to invest a lot of time for automated tests, continuous integration, and whatnot. I'm a product guy. I'm not really into that, so I have to talk with them. I want to talk about how it impacts product perspective and product development from my side. So one thing is our plannings are super, super tangible. Because when we start a planning, we don't think, oh yeah, what we want to do this sprint. No, for us it's what in 9 days will be delivered in the apps and the servers. What increment of product we actually want to have to be there live, and our users will be using that, and we'll get feedback from that. Which is both very strict for developers, and as well it gets me very disciplined, because I need to think how I can take this huge package of value for the users and cut it into this very small, somewhere there, yeah, very small increments and choose very tactically, very smartly, which of them I can actually get ready in a few days and it will give me and the users and the organization the most value. And how we actually then set them one by one. Click. Yes. So the third thing, we try to incorporate as much as possible continuous discovery. Contrary to what Brendan said, we don't have the very discovery phase. We just every sprint try to get some feedback, to get some user discovery. So every planning, every next meeting, we discuss what should we learn next. Should we run some A/B tests? Should we build a prototype? Should we do a very small increment of a feature and just launch it? Should we do UX test on some features? And this we try to incorporate in every sprint. And that could be something that you may ask, this is an Agile conference, I'm talking about speed, and there's nothing about increasing velocity. Why? Sorry, someone's waving to me. At least my approach to that right now is that while this gives you a lot of efficiency in delivering software, if you want to be competitive, if you want to be innovative and deliver value, you really need to focus on shortening time to value, shortening your learning cycle, shortening your feedback loop, and iterating on that very dynamically. And the velocity is not the crucial part in here. So this is our path. This is what we embarked at least a few months ago, even before I started, and I push or pull or lead or help OLX to walk through on that path. And it's not easy path. We experiment, we iterate with the team setup, we try to involve them into co-creation of the solution, and we shorten their learning cycle and the feedback loop, and we continuously get the user and product discovery, and we incorporate that into the process. It turned out, contrary to the moment when I submitted this talk and I expected this talk to be a success story, it's actually very much work in progress story, and we are somewhere on that road, and the road is pretty bumpy. But as Brendan said yesterday, if it was easy, we wouldn't be on the right path. So I hope we are on the right path. And if you have any feedback, both on that path and on this presentation, I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear your inputs. What do you think? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What we should avoid? What learnings we should actually take to be better on our journey to speed and agility? Thank you very much.